Hi everyone, it's Ken Mason from Whispering Souls. Um, so I'm just doing this video, just a kind of a intro into grounding and protecting, as well as cleansing. People have asked me all over the time, you know, why do we need grounding, protecting? What is it for? And simply, how does it help us in the spiritual world? Well, because the spiritual world is energy, it tends to be very fluctuating and emotion-wise, and we can walk into something and be very nervous. We may have something to face and we're sitting there and our bodies are, shaking and whatnot. And because we're not grounded, we can't think properly. We say things that we shouldn't be saying. And it's kind of like putting an electrical system into a house where, the house has to be grounded. You have to have a line from the top of your house to the ground. So if you get hit by lightning, it doesn't get destroyed. Same as electrical in the house, where it's got to be grounded or else it might just catch on fire. Grounding is important to allow us to stabilize and be more logical and to enable our anti-fear factor, if you want to call it. So it gives us the courage to go ahead and do things we would not normally do, especially in the spiritual world. And especially in the spirit world, because the spirit world does not only have good things. Like everything else, there's always a negative to a positive. The more you're positive, the more you see are positive, but there's also the negative side. So the more you see negative, the more you'll see negative. But at the same time, for every time you're positive, there is a negative force against you. So if you are doing any kind of work in spirituality, and you're doing healing or mediumship, or any kind of focus that deals with inside the spiritual world, you need a bit of protection to stop the negative spirits or the negative energy to try and derail you, or make you afraid, or make you to do things that you may not necessarily do without that protection. So that's kind of a nutshell of why we use grounding and protecting. Yes, we do have spirit guides, but we have freedom of choice, so they tend to let that decision up to us. In the end, they will protect us, but we also have to learn how to be, protective of ourselves, protective of people. And it's just one of those things that we learn naturally. We all know that, we need to go grab a hold of something when we're sliding down. We need to hold something, to stand up. And we always need some help to do something. So the first thing I want to talk about is grounding. So grounding is kind of, the one thing that we all need. Everybody, says, you need to be grounded to do something. Ground yourself before you go do a work. And it's kind of a universal thing where if we do something we're not quite in our minds type of thing, then we could really screw up. There's a whole range of things with grounding. If we don't do it, we could get a mistake. Obviously, the main one in spirituality too is if, we go and try to do work in spirituality and our minds just get flooded and we're just everywhere and we're afraid, we don't do things right, we do some hopefully not damage to somebody in the healing area, and that's because we didn't sit down and grounded ourselves and have that confidence in ourselves that we will be there grounded and confident. And so what we have here on the picture here, you'll see the three pictures that I have here for grounding. So the one on the bottom, you'll see that this is the traditional one. The one they said is, a lot of people say they use this one, but I find it very, very complicated. As you can see, you're sitting on a tree stump. You've got all your chakras showing up. You've worked on your chakras to have what your spiritual cord is, to come down through your chakras, to go down into earth, wrap itself around a rock, and give you that grounding that people are looking for. However, when we do this kind of thing, though, it can be very complicated. They may want us to, um, it may take 10 minutes to do this. You have to visualize it. Feeling doesn't work well, because if you can't visualize it, um, there's no point of it. So it's a visualization, or this type of grounding is kind of complicated. Again, you have the one that's in the middle, which is just simply you being barefoot to earth. Yes, I see you, in that picture, you're walking and whatnot, but you're barefoot because you're connecting to Mother Earth as you're walking. The other picture on top is you standing in water, which is kind of the one I use, because, water is very, very protective, and it's very, very grounding as well. People always feel so much better when they go in water. But you'll find that, in this picture, you've got your feet in mud and water, and it's basically allowing you to sink into the earth so that you're really connected to Mother Earth. So these are the three types. Now, obviously, there's so many other different types. Grounding is very much a personal thing, especially if you can't visualize. I tell people can't visualize, then feel your feet in the ground, feel water going over it, and just do a lot of feeling. And you don't need to see it all the time to be grounded. What you really need to do is just have the feeling. I visualize it. Everybody else can visualize it, but I still use the effect of feeling. I visualize my feet being in the ground, but I feel the ground holding me down. And so it's all about, same as psychic abilities and whatnot. You use your feeling to make sure that you are using this system that is given to all of us to help us through lives and be more calm and collective. So a lot of it is just let's feel it. So the next one I want to do is about protection. So protection itself is something what we always use. We use it to protect people and ourselves and whatnot. So again, there's different types of protections. So as you can see in the pictures there, the first one on the bottom is some people use flames for protection. I'm sure you've seen the people. The heroes that we see, some of them are raging flames and whatnot. The flames in this case is you visualizing having flames around you so nothing can come in. It's the same as having, winds or having something around you that you feel that whatever you feel might come after you will protect you. And this will protect about them coming in. As a lot of people use crystals. They use, pendants. They use all kinds of stuff that, they carry on their bodies to say, with this crystal, then I have protection. I'm asking my spirit guide to protect me with this crystal. And obviously with crystals, there's certainly different types of crystals that you can look at for different types of protections. We also have stuff like stuff that you burn and whatnot. So walking around your house with the sage and whatnot. Sage, that's what it's looking for sage, and different types of things that offer that kind of protection as well. Though limited protection, because obviously, the smoke will go away. But a lot of it is intention, right? You're using the smoke and the feelings and whatnot as an intention. You want to have an intention that this place is protected, that I'm protected. And you maintain that sense of protection. So there's a lot of things when it comes to the stuff that, the grounding, the protection. A lot of it is just simply protection. Another one that that you'll see is for protection. Obviously, is depending on what your belief system is, You talk to your spirit guide. You talk to God, to Jesus, to whoever else that you feel is there to help you. You ask for their protection. And it's just kind of a way of saying, and affirming to yourself that you're protected by people that you trust, or items that you trust, or it's a trust to something that's going to protect you, and you maintain that protection. And again, this is very important because this gives you confidence of knowing that you're protected, you're grounded. You can go ahead and have a lot of confidence in life. You do your grounding and protecting before you go into a meeting, because that'll give you that protection, knowing that that you're not going to waver in your thinking or whatnot. So not only is it good spiritually, it's good physically because it allows you to know that somebody's there helping you, somebody there is watching over you, and it could be anybody. Angel Michael, archangels, as I mentioned. Just it's all about protecting yourself, so you know that you're not going to be endangered in some way. The last one, of course, is cleansing. So cleansing is a way of getting rid of all these spiritual clutter that we gather through the day. We have 10 senses. We have the 5 physical senses, and we have the 5 spiritual senses. So our minds are collecting all these senses in. So it's everything that's happening to us in a physical sense. Everything we feel, touch, hear, smell, see. Everything that happens during that time, it's stored. But it also does exactly the same thing for the spiritual senses because they're identical. So in the spiritual world, we'll see something in the spiritual world that we may not be able to see in the physical world, but it's translated into the physical world. And our mind is trying to store all this stuff. So it kind of puts it all away. So, and this will happen when you sit down, you finally get to settle down and go to sleep, and all of a sudden your mind races, and you get, thought about everything that's going on in the day, and all your worries and everything else that's going on in the day. It's processing all this. Which is why I always say it's a very good time for people, some an hour before you go to bed, just find a nice quiet room and just let your mind go. Let it process everything that happened during the day. And so, as you can see there's all kinds of different ways of cleansing. Again, the way I do it is, I'll visually in my mind, imagine myself standing at a waterfall, and in that waterfall, I'm watching it, wash off all the stuff off me. At first it starts off gray, then watch until it turns clear. And then I know that all the stuff that's been captured on me is now being washed away. It's not only thoughts also. It's like you may have some kind of spiritual attack or spiritual thoughts that are negative, and all the negativity that comes in is also captured at the same time. So you're going to have all these kind of negative stuff that creates all the conflict in your head, or anger. The emotions are all stored in that kind of area. Another one you'll see is on the bottom one is sitting in water and relaxing and just letting your mind go and releasing all the stuff that's been captured by you. Some people, like I said, like me, actually go underneath a waterfall. I visualize it because there's no waterfalls around me. But you can also do it all kinds of different ways. There's one there where you can use drums. You can use incense. You can use all kinds of stuff to clean yourself. Again, an intention of cleaning is what you're asking for. That's all it really does. It's all it really means. So, okay, so now we talked about the 3 different types of grounding, protecting, and cleaning. And these are all things that, are all intentions. But I always tell people, when we're doing something spiritual, it's not overly important. It's really important to not get it complicated. You don't look at something they've done in the old time and sitting on a rock and think of everything coming out of you and wrapping around the rock halfway down to Earth or middle of Earth or whatever, and then you sit there and you think about things. This is very complicated, and it's something that's going to, in your mind, if you got things going on in your mind that's, hectic, then you're not going to be able to perform this properly. So pick something that's very gentle and something that's very quick to do. In this last picture, you'll notice that by the way, it's not me in there, but there's a gentleman there. He's got a waterfall coming over him. That water is very reflective, which means it's very protective, so nothing can come through that water to get at you. At the same time, while it's protecting you, it's also grounding you to earth with your feet. And the third thing is, as it's running over your body, it's now cleansing the body, it's cleansing the spirit. It's all doing it at the same time. So you don't have to have 3 different kind of functions to do it. You pick one and you create that whatever you like, cleansing and whatnot. My son, for all 3, walks through fire because he's a fire person. He likes fire. So he's walking through fire. The fire will cleanse him and will create that protection, as I mentioned earlier, where nobody's going to come in through the fire, because everything that tries to come in through the fire will get burnt. And people have all kinds of different things. There's people that fly. They'll take a flight, and as they're, the air that goes around them creates a protection system. And to clean, they'll fly through a vortex or a tornado, and that would just blow all the stuff off of them. And that way, it's all simultaneously. So so this is what I'm kind of mentioning to people, with spirituality, is it's really important that we take away all the things we're taught that are very complex, and take hard things to do or take a while to do it. Let's get rid of all the complex. Let's bring it down into a very simple thing. So, if you want to ground and protect instantly, you just think of something and it's done. You don't have to sit there for 15 minutes trying to create things, feel things or whatnot. Just know that you said, this is what I want. This is what I told you what I want. I want the protection. I want the grounding. And after all this, I want to be cleansed. And you just visualize it, or you just feel it. And a feeling, like to me, when I do feeling stuff, I just feel my body being more protective. Again, the feelings, the intention. And once you've done that, then you know when you're well done. Anyway, so that's all I have for this grounding protection. I hope that kind of cleared up some things, or maybe helped you go down the spiritual world. If you have any other questions, then please email me, or contact us at our page, Whispering Souls by Psychic Ken. Sorry, kind of lost my mind there. Anyway, so contact us on Facebook, and we'll be glad to help you. Thank you. Bye.